The earth trembles under the weight of approaching storms, the sky painted in bruised violet, as thunder rolls across a vast African savanna 9.2 million years ago. Rain lashes down in sudden torrents, rivers swell, and lightning cuts the horizon with jagged light. In this world of giants and predators, a small band of Australopithecus emerges from the tall grasses, their bodies lean, but strangely adapted, their throats marked by subtle ridges where gills flare open with each desperate breath. They are creatures both of land and water, heirs to a path never taken by humanity, a path where survival meant not just mastering fire and stone, but mastering the rivers themselves. Tonight, survival will be tested. The band moves toward the swollen river, hunger gnawing at their bellies, but instead of hesitating at the water's edge as other primates might, they dive in without fear. Their bodies slice through the currents with uncanny grace, limbs paddling gills, drinking oxygen from the flood. Beneath the surface, schools of ancient fish shimmer silver in the dim light, darting into reeds and crevices. With sharpened sticks clutched in their hands, the band lunges with raw instinct, spearing prey in coordinated bursts. The catch is small, at first slippery bodies writhing in their grasp, but it is enough to ignite a frenzy of hope. Yet, the river is no sanctuary. It is a battlefield. From the depths, a crocodile surges upward, jaws snapping with brutal force, scattering the band in panicked explosions of bubbles. One young Australopithecus thrashes spear clattering away as the reptile clamps onto his leg and drags him deeper. The others circle back, gills, flaring eyes wide with terror, but bound by instinct to protect their own. They stab wildly with stone-tipped weapons, the water clouding with blood and silt, until the predator recoils, wounded and enraged, retreating into murk. The youth is pulled ashore, his thigh torn open, breath still steady through the gills, but life spilling fast through crimson. The band gathers herbs from the forest fringe, chewing and pressing bitter leaves into the wound, binding it with reeds. Their hands tremble as storm winds howl overhead, but in the crude act of healing lies the spark of something greater than instinct. Care, sacrifice, survival beyond the self. Night falls, the storm unrelenting, and the river swells higher, threatening to consume the grasslands. The band huddles within a cave carved by the water's fury, the injured youth groaning, while the others gnaw raw fish by dim lightning flashes. Yet within the cave, danger festers again. Shadows move in the storm's light. Another band of Australopithecus, their faces gaunt with hunger, their eyes glinting with desperate resolve. Weapons of bone and stone gleam in their hands. The first band stiffens, spears raised, gills pulsing in the charged air. The storm outside becomes the drumbeat of war, inside each heartbeat, echoing with the promise of blood. In this world, survival is not just against beast or storm, but against one another. Here, at the edge of water and fire, the myth of humanity takes its first violent breath. The storm roars through the night as both bands face each other in the cave, lightning spilling pale fire across their dripping bodies. The air hums with the sound of rushing water and the hiss of rain, but inside only silence reigns, the silence before violence. Then, like the snap of bone, the clash begins. Stones smash against sharpened wood bodies, collide in primal fury, and cries echo against the cavern walls, muffled by the thunder outside. Spears jab, teeth tear, fists pound, and yet beneath the chaos their gills flare and contract like drums of war, each breath reminding them they belong to both river and land. One elder male from the defending band lunges forward, slamming a stone against the wrist of an attacker, shattering bone. The weapon clatters to the wet cave floor, and blood mingles with the river spray. The rival band falters, desperation turning into rage, and for a moment, the cave becomes a vortex of limbs, snarls, and pain. But unity prevails. Shoulders press together, voices rise in guttural cries, and through sheer will, the first band pushes their enemies back toward the storm. The invaders scatter into the night, leaving behind only echoes of their hunger and defeat. Victory is bitter. Bodies lie bruised, wounds throb with pain, and the injured youth still moans in fever. Yet survival is theirs, won not by strength alone, but by the rhythm of togetherness. Dawn comes like a pale ember, painting the savanna gold as storm clouds retreat. The band emerges from the cave battered but unbroken, their steps steady as they move toward the river once more. The waters are calmer now, swollen but shining with morning light. They wade in their gills, drinking deep, as if the river itself were both enemy and mother. Fish dart again beneath the surface, and the hunt resumes not as chaos, but as ritual. Each spear strikes with practiced precision, each hand shares the catch, and soon the band gathers beneath an acacia tree, feasting on raw flesh and marrow, with the sun warming their wet skin. Yet, peace is fragile. From the grasses comes a new threat. A lioness, her muscles coiled, her eyes burning with hunger no storm could quench. She stalks closer, silent, as the band scrambles into a circle, spears raised, children pressed to the center. The memory of the crocodile's jaws and the rival band's attack surges in their blood, but so does the fire of victory. The lioness lunges, a blur of claws and teeth, and the clash becomes a storm of its own. Spears jab into her flank, blood sprays, and screams mix with roars. One warrior is dragged down, teeth sinking into his shoulder, but others seize flaming branches from the tree's lightning-scorched bark, thrusting fire toward the beast. The lioness shrieks, recoiling from the twin terror of flame and flesh, retreating into the grasses, leaving behind her scent of fury. The band gathers around their fallen blood flowing, but life still within him, their gills fluttering with frantic breaths. Around them, the savanna hums again with fragile calm, the storm gone, but memory fresh. They know the world will not relent. Water beast, rival, all will return, but so too will they, bound by blood, fire, and the strange gift of gills that ties them to both worlds. The sun climbs higher, drying the savanna into waves of heat. Yet the memory of storm and battle clings to the band like a second skin. They march slowly across the plains, the injured carried between them on woven branches, their wounds bound with leaves, their bellies full of fish, yet hollow with exhaustion. Ahead, the river winds like a serpent of silver, its surface glittering with promise and peril alike. They know the water offers life, but it also hides teeth sharper than any stone. Still, hunger drives them forward, and with gills flaring, they slip once more beneath the surface. This time the dive is deeper, their bodies moving in silent unison, weaving among reeds and shadows where light fades into gloom. Ancient catfish, larger than their torsos, drift sluggishly in the depths, and with precision, born of countless failures, they strike. Spears flash, bubbles burst, and the water erupts in frenzy until the prey is theirs. But as they ascend, the river itself rises against them, a wall of waves driven by the storm's aftermath, sweeping them into violent currents. The band is torn apart, flung downstream, bodies colliding with rocks and branches. Panic erupts, yet even here the gills save them. Where lungs would drown, they endure, their throats drinking life from the chaos. Clinging to one another, they fight not the river, but with it guiding their bodies through its fury, until at last they are cast onto calmer banks, battered but alive. And there, in the hush that follows, something shifts. The injured youth, fevered and pale, is laid upon the sand. His breaths are shallow, but his eyes flicker open as a female presses herbs once more to his wound, whispering not in words but in the rhythm of her touch. The others gather close, offering food, warmth, and the fragile shield of their bodies. Slowly, painfully, his chest rises stronger, his gills pulsing with new vigor. Relief ripples through the band, like firelight laughter low and raw breaks the silence, the first sound of joy since the storm. As dusk falls, they share their catch by the riverside, dividing flesh and marrow with equal hands. Children gnaw bones, elders chew herbs, and for a fleeting moment, the world is not teeth and storm, but unity. The river glows red beneath the setting sun, and their shadows stretch long across the grass. They have faced crocodile rival lion and flood, and though scars mark their flesh, their spirit burns brighter. In the gift of gills, they are not bound to earth or sky, but belong to both the land that tests them and the waters that cradle them. And so the myth begins, not of creatures cowering before nature, but of a band who learned to rise from its fury, to carve survival from its chaos, and to laugh in defiance at the edge of the world.